Hey everyone, this is Trixx from Meta of Smash, and I just want to go over a video quickly on how to mash in this game. It's actually one of the most important things in this game now, recognizing how powerful characters like Inkling, King K. Rool, or anybody else is that can possibly ground you. So here are a couple of different strategies, and we're going to go over the frame data of which of these strategies is actually the best, or which one could work best for you. So Shadow and I took it upon ourselves to test out 7 different strategies on how to mash, and he will be performing each of these mashes with a GameCube controller, and I will be using a standard Switch Pro controller. Also, to keep this experiment consistent, we are going to be getting grounded by an Inkling at 100%. So first things first, we wanted to see how long you'd stay in hit stun, grounded, if you were hit by Inkling and did not mash whatsoever. And we found that you would stay in the ground for 5.8 seconds if you did not mash. So first up, we have mashing by only spinning the control stick. I got out of the situation in 1.76 seconds, while Shadow got out in 1.8 seconds. So this does prove that spinning the control stick can be an effective way of mashing. Also note that by doing this, you will not accidentally put in a misinput upon escaping. Next, we tried using just the face buttons, X, Y, A, and B. And we found that I escaped in 1.56 seconds, while Shadow escaped in 1.84 seconds. Note that this method was actually a bit slower for me and a bit faster for Shadow. This is probably because I am left-handed while Shadow is right-handed, so this is also something very important to take into consideration. Something else worth mentioning is that we both inputted an aerial upon escaping, and depending on your character and how laggy their aerials are, this could be detrimental to your survival. The third time we tried this, we tried using the left stick and the face buttons, X, Y, A, and B, and I ended up getting the same time of 1.56 seconds, while Shadow actually lowered his time to 1.64 seconds. Notice this time that upon escaping, we both input an aerial, however I did a standard aerial while Shadow did a down special. This is important to note because your final input is going to be random when you're mashing both the buttons and the stick at the same time, which could be extremely dangerous because you could end up inputting an up B and going back into free fall and potentially getting grounded a second time, or even hard punished. On our fourth attempt, we tried using the left stick, the face buttons, and the shoulder buttons, and I ended up escaping in my fastest time of 1.48 seconds, while Shadow escaped at a staggering 2.08 seconds. I say staggering because there is more than a half a second difference between my time and his time. This is a huge deal because that half a second could be the difference between life and death and also winning or losing an entire set. I feel that I was able to mash out so much quicker than Shadow because I was using a Pro controller which has digital triggers, while Shadow, using the GameCube controller, has analog triggers which take a lot longer to press down and also consumes a lot of his time and coordination to try and incorporate using the shoulder buttons as well as the other buttons on his controller. I can say that without a doubt, if you play with the GameCube controller, this is the absolute worst way to mash, and if you're doing this currently, this could be the quick fix that you needed to improve your mashing instantly. On our fifth attempt, we tried using the left stick as well as the C stick. And to my surprise, both my time and Shadow's time were the exact same as when we both only used the left stick. We can conclude that using the C stick to help yourself mash is a complete waste of time and does absolutely nothing. Also, I was using tilt stick while Shadow was using smash stick, and as you can see, it doesn't make a difference. And for attempt number 6 and 7, we actually went to the control scheme and changed our taunts into all shield buttons. We wanted to be absolutely sure that if we used all buttons and no sticks whatsoever, that it would be faster or slower. On attempt number 6, we used the taunt buttons and the face buttons, X, Y, A, and B. My time ended up being 0.2 of a second slower, and Shadow's time ended up being 0.3 of a second slower than when we both used the left stick and the face buttons only. On our final attempt, we used all buttons possible, taunt buttons, face buttons, and shoulder buttons. My time ended up being 1.52 seconds, and Shadow's time ended up being his second slowest with 2.04 seconds. We can most definitely conclude that if you use a GameCube controller, never mash using the shoulder buttons. It will always be a waste of time. So in conclusion, we found that mashing with a Switch Pro controller and using your triggers is the most optimal way to mash in Smash Ultimate. And also, if you use a GameCube controller, the most optimal way to mash is using the left stick and the face buttons only. Once again, this is Trixx saying thanks for watching the video, and be sure to subscribe for more content and tech videos just like this.